when the man was pinned down on the bed and had his first kiss stolen, and was making out with someone in front of everyone. His name is Jining, a cellist who's currently performing with the City Symphony Orchestra at a banquet hosted by the Jin family in Shanghai. Speaking of the Jin family, they openly run Shanghai's largest licensed casino, but secretly they've always been involved in dirty dealings. In the locals' eyes, they're basically synonymous with mysterious evil. Even people who work for them get labeled with hateful titles like lackeys. As the conductor made his final gesture, Jining and the others' performance came to a perfect close. Scattered applause rang out from below. Ran Qingzhong, who had been watching, muttered bad luck under his breath and left. Jining noticed him and immediately chased after, but had to stop due to a sudden and severe headache. Band member Fan Luosu noticed something was wrong. Jining, you okay? He said he was fine, just had a stomachache. Then got up and quickly walked toward the restaurant. That guy was definitely him. I couldn't be wrong about that. Splashed water on his face while muttering to himself. Ran Qingzhuang wasn't just a name, he was a forbidden topic he couldn't even say properly in his dream. One afternoon in high school after school had ended, Jining hadn't gone home yet, when he saw through the classroom window Lin Sheng and Ran Qingzhuang kissing passionately. In an environment where both boys and girls were forbidden from dating, a romance between two males was obviously earth-shattering and scandalous. He instinctively wanted to call out Ran Qingzhuang's name, but just as Ran came out, Ran Qingzhuang's warning look shot right through him. Scared, he stumbled back several steps and fled in panic. Originally, that should have been the end of it, but Jining pulled a crazy move. He actually told the teacher about the two of them. Later, it became a big deal. One was a promising honor student. The other was an orphan troublemaker with no parents. Obviously, all the blame was pointed at Ran Qingzhuang, and he was eventually forced to drop out without a trace. Jining became the only one who benefited from this incident. Lin Sheng had been competing with him for a scholarship recommendation, but because of this incident his parents sent him abroad. Jining smoothly got the scholarship and entered a top university's music program. His struggling mom also got some relief thanks to that generous scholarship money. But what goes around comes around. A few months ago he found out he had a tumor in his brain. Now, it seems like meeting Ran Qingzhuang in his final days must be heaven giving him a chance to. It had started raining outside. Walking along the corridor, Jining heard people talking below. Thinking it might be Ran Qingzhuang, he squinted and leaned over to look carefully, but couldn't make anything out. When the smoke cleared, that person's features gradually became clear. More mature than in his youth. Jining was certain it was Ran Qingzhuang. Then the group below wanted to go outside. No way. The thought can't let him leave again screamed in his head. Jining forgot he could just call out to Guy, and frantically rushed down the stairs behind him. Just one floor, but it felt so long. Would they miss each other again? Didn't hesitate to sell his own body. Back in his youth, Jining, for his future and for his mom, reported two male classmates for dating to their teacher. Later, one was forced to drop out and disappeared. The other was sent abroad by his parents and never came back. He became the sole beneficiary of the whole thing, smoothly getting the scholarship recommendation and entering a top university's music program. 8 years later, Jining unexpectedly ran into one of those classmates, Ran Qingzhuang. Thinking about the brain tumor he'd been diagnosed with recently, he believed this was definitely a sign from heaven, that if he could get Ran Qingzhuang's forgiveness before dying, heaven would reduce his sins. So ignoring his physical discomfort, he frantically rushed down the stairs behind. Luckily it was just one floor and Ran Qingzhuang and the others hadn't gone far. He stood at one end of the corridor, breathing heavily as he called out that name buried deep in his heart. Ran Qingzhuang! The man walking in the middle immediately stopped, turning around with his hands in his pockets. Only then did Jining notice he had a black tattoo on his neck. 4 numbers 0417. He'd heard before that people in the healing group from the top brass down to the foot soldiers all had a unique number tattooed on them. It was their gang members' trademark. So Ran Qingzhuang really had become one of the Jin family's lackeys. Whether it was from running too hard just now or from this shocking revelation, his whole body was trembling. Ran Qingzhuang's gaze slowly traced over his face and body. And when he finally recognized him, he said something to the people beside him and walked over to Jining alone. The others quickly left. He put a cigarette between his lips, took a deep drag and spoke while exhaling white smoke from his mouth and nose. Running into you really is bad luck. Those words were pretty harsh, but Jining seemed oblivious to it, nervously fidgeting with his collar as he stammered out those difficult words with a trembling voice. Long time no see. I just wanted to say sorry. Ran Qingzhuang held his cigarette, staring at him for a long time. After a while, he dismissively dropped the words "you're sick" and turned to leave. Jining didn't know where he got the courage, but after standing stunned for 2 seconds, he ran after him and grabbed his wrist from behind. Can you forgive me? Can you show me mercy, absolve me of my sins, so I can die in peace without regrets? Of course he didn't say those last parts out loud. Ran Qingzhuang's jaw tightened. Though he didn't speak, his terrifying expression already said it all. Let go now or get beaten up. Jining still held onto him with one hand while reaching into his pants pocket with the other to get his phone. Well, how about you give me your phone number, and I'll contact you when you're in a better mood. But just as he pulled it out, his body was roughly shoved away by a powerful force. He slammed hard into the white wall beside him. His phone slipped from his grip and clattered to the ground nearby. Ran Qingzhuang brushed off his sleeve like he was flicking away something jerk, muttered a psycho and walked away without a backward glance. Jining waited until he could no longer see him, then like an old, oiled clockwork that had been still, slowly and painfully started moving again. Yeah, I really am sick. To help his benefactor avoid a search, the man actually made out with him in public. Back to our story. Due to the sudden storm, everyone was stranded on Lion King Island. Jining and the other outsiders were just randomly assigned to stay in the workers' quarters next to the castle. In the dim room, because of seeing Ran Qingzhuang, kept replaying those high school memories over and over, making sleep impossible. His acquaintance with Ran Qingzhuang also started in that empty classroom. It was someday in sophomore year. The teacher suddenly called Jining to the office to discuss something, really just to inform him that he'd be tutoring Ran Qingzhuang. to help improve his grades, since the school had helped him a lot, and this wasn't an unreasonable request. Jining agreed without much thought. So that afternoon after school, when he was practicing piano, in the empty classroom as usual, Ran Qingzhuang slouched in. Jining didn't mind his attitude, and politely introduced himself. You practice your piano, I'll sleep. Don't bother me. Just like that, the two began an unfamiliar but strangely harmonious school laugh. Suddenly there was a strange soft sound outside, like something had hit the balcony door. It snapped Jining's thoughts back from old memories to reality. Turning on the light, he put on slippers and got out of bed to chat. The wooden balcony door opened slightly, and noisy sounds drifted up from below, just as he was about to stick his head out for a better look. His mouth and nose were firmly covered by a lot appeared from the side. The smell of tobacco mixed with rain invaded his nostrils. Jining was so terrified he couldn't make a sound. His body so stiff he almost stopped breathing. In those few seconds, many random, nonsensical thoughts flashed through his mind. Don't make a sound. From that voice he immediately recognized it was Ran Qingzhuang. Jining could think more. The sound of knocking on doors grew closer from outside. Open up, open up. Stop sleeping and open the door. The voices outside were getting closer. Ran Qingzhuang quickly pushed him onto the bed. Help me, he panted, quickly taking off his shirt and loosening his pants, tension showing in his expression. But his tone was calm. After tonight, we're even. Jining's brain was overloaded with this series of sudden events, and temporarily crashed. But before he could say anything, Ran Qingzhuang started pulling at his clothes, then kissed him hard. Just then the room searchers arrived at his door. Open up, open the door. He silently lifted his chin toward the door, signaling the person beneath him to respond. Jining nervously swallowed. What's going on? Now's not a good time. A rougher, colder male voice came from outside. Break down the door. When the door was kicked open from outside, they saw Ran Qingzhuang on the messy narrow bed, his muscular upper body bare as he pressed down on Jining. Jining's shirt was wide open at the chest, his chest heaving violently, face flushed, with tears at the corners of his eyes. Who wouldn't read into such an intimate scene? What's it like performing bedroom gymnastics in front of an audience? When Jining's door was kicked open from outside, Ran Qingzhuang was pressing down on him, breathing heavily. The men at the door had never seen such a steamy scene and froze in place. One of them quickly snapped out of it and broke the moment of silence. What are you doing here? What am I doing here? Ran Qingzhuang was amused by this obvious question. That last vibration was clearly transmitted to the person beneath him. Jining instinctively struggled with his arms, but Ran Qingzhuang subtly pressed them down, gripping tighter until his wrist bones ached, making him let out a pained moan. But he quickly bit his lip and swallowed the sound back. Misunderstanding something, the bald guy switched to a surprised and teasing tone. All these years, I never knew you liked me. Not bad. Ran Qingzhuang's narrow eyes were ice cold. I'll let Snake know everything he should know. Or what he doesn't need to know. He doesn't need to worry about. Coming to search rooms this late, did something happen? Their relationship was unclear and seemed tense. Those few words had a feeling of drawn swords. The bald guy leaned against the doorway with no intention of leaving. Nothing much. Spotted a rat. That might be trying to sneak into the main house. Just being safe, I'll search around. Don't mind me, you continue. How could they continue? That last thread in Jining's brain snapped. Forget about him and Ran Qingzhuang not actually being intimate, even if they were. How could anyone continue in front of an audience? Suddenly his lips were completely captured. Ran Qingzhuang invaded roughly like a sharp sword, cutting through all his thinking nerves. The bald man looked at them with disgust. After nightfall, except for patrol personnel, no one can move around freely. Rules are rules. Tomorrow you'll explain yourself to the young master. With that, he left with his underlings. Crisis averted. Ran Qingzhuang waited a moment to make sure no one would return, then got up without hesitation and let out a long breath facing the closed door. Don't tell anyone about tonight. I'm leaving in an hour. Do whatever you want. Jining shrank back, but seeing the tattoo on Ran Qingzhuang's neck, he couldn't help speculating. He could have become a better person. Was it because of his own betrayal back then that he became like this? So he gathered courage to ask what was in his heart. Why did you become this kind of person? You said you'd never follow your father's path. You didn't want to be someone who creates evil. You wanted to punish evil, to become a cop. Before the last word came out, Ran Qingzhuang pounced like an agile leopard and grabbed his throat. His nose pressed into the pillow beside his head. I said after tonight we're even. But if you annoy me again, I can make you disappear without a trace anytime, anywhere. People fall off cliffs and drown here every year. One more wouldn't matter. Less wouldn't matter either. Jining suddenly finished that sentence in his mind. The hand on his clearly told him this was a joke. He nodded frantically, showing he definitely wouldn't annoy Ran Qingzhuang again. Let out a cold laugh. An icy blade